Everyone, welcome to eLearnChat, where it is all about learning. I'm Rick Zanotti, and I am joined today by Harold Muliati. He's normally our video producer, which he's doing today, but he's also co-hosting because he's got a whole media background, and so does our guest. We have with us today Chris Willis. She is Director of Product, specifically right now for Lectora with the eLearning Brothers. So we're glad Lectora wound up in good hands, and she sounds like she's a firebrand. So this should be fun. Here we go. This show is sponsored by Relate Corporation. Visit us at www.relatecasts.net. Thanks. And we are back, and joining us in that center position of power. Did you know that, Chris? You're in the center position of power. We've got Chris Willis. How are you, Chris?
Hi, so glad to be here. Thank you.
Oh, we're glad you joined us. And it's funny, I had called John. I've known John for years, John Blackman. He's the, I guess, CTO with eLearning Brothers now and Chief Technology Officer. And John said, well, I'll go on the show again, but you really want Chris on. She's just exciting. And I go, okay, we'll talk to Chris. And you agreed to come on quickly. And so we're glad you could make it. And congratulations on your position working with Lectora and everything. So, and I think you've had a long background with Lectora.
I do. I go back to early Lectora when I ran my own custom development company for eLearning. We actually, I'll update myself. Back in the day, we created performance support on a Palm Pilot using Lectora.
Oh, I love you. I just absolutely. I was doing Pocket PCs in those days. So
yes.
That's a good old days.
Yeah, I mean, Lectora's been doing performance improvement as well as e-learning for a very, very, very long time.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It's really exciting to be kind of helping to drive Lectora and see it being invested in by eLearning Brothers and growing again and to be right there. I would have never guessed. No,
so. And I'm glad too, because we talked a little bit pre-show. I was a little concerned at first. What's going to happen to Trivantis? And I'm glad they found a home. So this is good.
Yeah, all the Trivantis folks that everybody knows, Joe and Cheryl and all the folks that everybody's worked with through the years, they now are part of the eLearning Brothers family as well. Okay. And it's a real pleasure getting to work with them. We're quite the blended family. So, and it's a lot of fun. And I joke around sometimes about, well, what would happen if the world's greatest template company got together with one of the top 3 leading e-learning softwares in the whole world, and we kind of married them together. And that's what's happening here with the technical expertise, the content expertise, the learning, instructional design expertise. It's all coming together and manifesting in Lectora, and it's a really exciting thing.
That's great. That's good news for you guys and for the eLearning Brothers. So we're glad you guys found that marriage. It's a good one.
We're very happy. It's a great family and a lot of fun. The only thing is, I was very used to working in Utah time, and me being in East Coast time, it was kind of nice to get up and ease into it. And right. Now I'm back on East Coast time and Utah time. Makes for some long days.
Right. That's funny. Yeah, we're 1 hour even earlier. So we're in Pacific time. So
yeah, right.
So Utah time's easy for us, but then we go back east. We have early hours. You guys have late hours. You have early hours. So you know how that goes.
But it gets late some nights, but that's okay. It's kind of it's all good. We're flexible. So.
Yeah. Now you have a media background. I think you have a degree in, is it graphic arts or fine arts?
My degree is actually arts and media. which is kind of interesting. I actually started out in life wanting to write and illustrate children's books.
Interesting.
And then I found out that in order to achieve the level of comfort to which I wished to become accustomed, I kind of had to take a different tack. So then I fell into technical communication, and I found out that my writing skills transferred into the corporate world if I could take the basics of writing and what I knew about chunking information and telling a story and presenting things. And I could take that and then apply it to technical subjects.
Yep.
And there was a high demand for that. So I did that for others for quite a few years. And then I ended up starting my own firm, creating online help and ultimately technical training. And then we moved into all kinds of training. So that was my company, Media One, before I came to eLearning.
That's great. Yeah, and it's a lot of fun too. Yeah, our trajectories are sort of similar. I started in IT. So I was in IT for a very long time, and then we did IT implementations, database images, systems analysis work, blah, blah, blah. And then we couldn't find programmers. So we switched from being a database integrator, if you will, working with very large distribution, financial, manufacturing companies, to e-learning and training. It was a real easy transition. People thought I went insane, but no, it was good. And we were able to find good people in this industry, and we had a good time with it. So it's funny, so we all wind up in the same place somehow. The e-learning Sargasso Sea. I don't know, but no, this is good.
Lots of folks come to e-learning through different trajectories. You know, there's you mentioned that some folks come through IT. A lot of folks end up, they start out as SMEs.
Yes.
And they're very good as SMEs, subject matter experts, of course. And then because they know their expertise, they're tapped by their organization to start training it. And then they get sucked into the instructional design, career path. And you end up having to learn the rules, and there you go. Right. And really, it's just a little hop, skip, and a jump from PowerPoint to any of the authoring tools, right? It's kind of like, PowerPoint is like a gateway drug to e-learning authoring.
So, training ends up being one of those things that people wanted to do, but they didn't know they wanted to do in a lot of cases. It's not necessarily they didn't know the industry existed, but they just didn't really think of it until they actually, like you said, they get kind of connected to the industry either by being a SME or some other means that they get exposed to the training world.
Now, what does a director of product at Lectora do?
Well, product director, it's like you'll hear PM, product manager. Product director is just kind of somebody who's been around the block a few more times. But yeah, so what we get to do as product managers or product directors is, first and foremost, we are the advocates for the people who are using our product. So we are looking at what's happening out in the industry. What do our customers want from us? Where are the underserved places that, what areas are the tools not hitting that we should be? So we're looking at strategy. We're looking at usability. We're looking at market trends. So from that way, we're kind of outward looking, and then we bring that back to the organization, and we negotiate that with the resources that we have available. So we have developers, and they have certain things they need to do. Leadership wants to take the whole organization in a certain direction, and we have to look at weighing where we want to go strategically and what we can do with the resources we have and where we need to move all together. So I end up fighting for the product, with air quotes. But really, it's my job to be the CEO of the product. Okay. And then answer to the higher level leadership who are driving the bus for the entire.
No, that's great. That's a real good place to be.
Having run an organization, been an entrepreneur, I get to kind of flex those entrepreneurial muscles and look after Lectora. I love the product role. It's a lot of fun. And I get to go to the scrums, work with the engineers, help interpret a bug into a feature, or determine which ones we address, all those kinds of things. That's what I get to do.
And when you mentioned Scrum, so you guys are doing an agile workflow too, as far as development and everything else goes, which is always good. Yeah. Gone are the old days. It's got to be fast.
Also, from where you stand, where do Lectora's customers need the product to go in the future from what you've seen in the industry lately?
Well, I can't, if I told you that, you know what the next part of that is, right?
Yeah. I get you there. Yeah. Wrong question.
So without giving away secrets, of where we're going to go, without giving away all the secret sauce. No, where I see Lectora needs to go. Lectora is the most powerful learning authoring tool that's out there. We were talking a little bit before we came on about Lectora and its history as a performance support tool. And Lectora is the most extensible of the e-learning authoring tools. So where do we see we need to take Lectora? I see two different directions that we need to go. One is we need to make Lectora a lot easier for new people coming on board. And we have a modular development model that we've worked out, and we're providing assets. There's that template thing again coming in, right? So we have that side. But on the other side, we need to really be looking at and helping our customers understand the powerful business side of Lectora that goes beyond just authoring the course. Lectora Online, we have some very powerful collaborative tools, ability to share assets. With the modular design, it's easier in Lectora than any of the other tools to create your branded template sets and repurpose those across the organization. So if you're creating a very large curriculum, there's no better tool than Lectora as far as seeing that once you set it up, watch the productivity go up and the hours go down. So that was all kind of a long way around of answering your question. Where do we need to go in the future? Make it easier for new people to get on board and have their first big win and continue winning, and then to elevate the business uses of Lectora and make it easier for our corporate customers.
It's interesting. I don't know if you knew that we did 50 shows of Lectora Live. It was a podcast that we were doing about 2 years ago, and it was a lot of fun. And one thing that's kind of that myth out there that I think it's been propagated by the competition maybe, a lot of people say Lectora is difficult. Now, I would beg to argue, I don't think it's that difficult. You can make it difficult, but it doesn't have to be. And for simple e-learning and other things, it's as easy as any other tool to really get started, especially if you have any kind of web development background or just simple background. I'd say Lectora isn't any harder to learn than PowerPoint, if you will, in some respects. And then, of course, you can get much more advanced, but that's not for everybody anyway. That's for the people who need to get that much more advanced. But I think that's always been one of the myths that people have always said, oh, Lectora is so hard, it's too hard. And I go, I don't think it's that hard. You can make it easier, I guess, but I don't know. You've worked with it. I don't think it's that hard. I think it's been pretty easy to get your hands around it. And then once you get going, you can really expand. If you have the interest and desire to expand, boy, you can go anywhere with it. And whenever we have a project that other tools can't handle, we immediately go to Lectora. It's like, we know what we can do. This has power, beyond the simple. And that's where I think e-learning got hit hard by simple tools, that everybody wanted so simple, but then a lot of tools lost their power. And it's just...
Well, yeah. And I think what you're talking about, the modular approach to putting together training, it's interesting because that's another way of responding to this, the state of the industry where you have smaller teams, shorter development cycles. A lot of people are looking for tools that are really simplified, but what we've found when we've done tests with a lot of the kind of simpler tools that just kind of have you put boxes in a ribbon or something. They're good for certain things, but then when you want to end up doing something that's a little more complex, then suddenly you're not using the right tool. It can't do what you need it to do.
Yeah, that's when the wall comes at you really fast and splash.
Yes. Well, that's the thing that happens, right? And you nailed it. So when I came to Lectora, I came as an entrepreneur, an instructional designer, and, a C person, a CEO of my company. I didn't come to Lectora as a developer. And I will tell you that I was one of the people that when I first opened Lectora, I found it very difficult. I didn't know what to do first. Lectora didn't have any kind of a player or anything that I knew what to put on the stage. I didn't understand the paradigm of the Explorer. And so these are, when I say making Lectora easier, the way we're approaching it isn't to change Lectora, because once you get Lectora makes a lot of sense, and it is very easy, right? So we're not changing Lectora. We're not dumbing down Lectora. What we're doing is this idea of we've created these learning frameworks. They're instructional design frameworks that you can look at as an instructional designer would and say, how do I need my course to flow?
Yep.
And once you figure that out, you can go in now and pick the framework, bring it into Lectora, and you have the beginning, a place to put your title. You have a place to put your objectives. You have a place to bring in your pages and interactions, and you have a basic quiz set up. There, we're looking right now at one of the the multi-chapter framework family. That's one of the more advanced ones. My very favorite framework is basic linear. But yeah, you open it up, and now you have a place to put things. Now it makes a lot more sense. One of the things that I learned when I was talking to users, and that I know from my own background, we talked about how people come into our industry from different places as being SMEs, or people come up from HR and suddenly there's a training need and they're given a tool and they're told they need to do training. It's not necessarily obvious the flow that you need to use for an e-learning course. We take it for granted because we've made so many of them, and it's like breathing as instructional designers. Right. But for folks who are coming in for the first time, the idea that you would give some kind of an intro, we call it an attention getter, and then you would tell them objectives, tell them what you're going to tell them, right? That you would then present some content and then have a knowledge check of some kind, or a learning check that's ungraded. Then you would summarize, tell them what you told them, provide a graded assessment, a certificate, and then we need to exit out because we need to write to score them so the LMS can tell that we're done, right? So all of those things need to happen. But when I thought about it, when I came to Lectora, and I said, that is a huge learning curve for somebody who's coming in new. It has nothing to do with the technology, but just that right there is a hurdle, a barrier to entry. But we'll just eliminate that. So we have a large number of frameworks. We worked with our customer success team, and they've dealt with thousands of cases. And they were put together, some of the most common, and now we have a framework for them. So when somebody approaches Lectora and they said, I need to be able to teach this way, I want to get to a point, have a menu, jump out, I want to track that and check off their progress, kind of gamify it a little bit, and then go out. We have a framework for that now. So yeah, when there's lots of ways to make things easier. A lot of the tools approach it by, we're going to just make very strict constraints and not allow you to break things, and we'll let you drag some things in and move them around, and we'll let you change one or two colors because everything else is tied together, and then that's all you get. And that's great when you need to do something in a hurry, but then the minute your customer comes back and says, well, I need you to present these 5 topics, and I need to make sure that people watch this video before they move on, and then we can open it up and let them do these things. Well, that's really easy to do in Lectora, but that's really hard to do in some of the other tools.
Right. So you're basically giving them a good jump start. getting them
Absolutely.
getting them going quickly. And I imagine with these frameworks, once you have it jump started, you can expand them to anywhere you want.
That's where our modular development comes in. So we have the frameworks. Then what we did is we created all of the other assets that work with the frameworks to fit together using a design grid, because that's what the best practice for visual designers is, to design on a grid, right? So we developed the pages now that you pull down in Lectora 21 and coming soon to LO, Lectora Online. The pages that you pull down now all fit to that same design grid.
Okay.
So you have your framework, you're adding pages, they all work on the same grid. Now we're going to be adding interactive templates. We call them wireframe templates because they're unstyled. And they all fit to the same grid. When you add a theme, it will add the header and the navigational elements. We have multiple styles. They're now all, they work with the mobile, what am I trying to say? When you shrink your screen for mobile, they are
responsive.
Responsive. Thank you. I'm like, frameworks, wireframes. Yeah, it's responsive. Thank you. Sometimes sometimes my ADD head, I can see the picture of it in my head and I can't find the word.
All right. Yes.
But yes, they're responsive now, and it all fits together on the same grid. So that's why it's modular, because all of these pieces work. You can do rapid storyboarding with it and just pull things together. So you don't have to go to something that's super, super constrained and only allows you to do things for it to be easy. So I'm really glad you actually brought that up.
And if I recall correctly, I remember talking with John, and he demoed the responsive part of Lectora, I think, when it first came out on the show. And I think you guys patented that, if I'm not wrong, because it was really unique. It was really unique.
Yeah, and what we did with the new themes is we actually took advantage of the responsiveness, the RCD that's already in Lectora. So that's really what we're doing. You know, I guess if you had asked me again, and I was thinking about it, what is our future for Lectora? Our future for Lectora is to really build on the amazing power and goodness that's already in Lectora that a lot of people just don't know about, and then bring a new audience to Lectora for the first time.
I like that, power and goodness. Remember that. Power and goodness. That's a good one.
Yeah, I do like this way of looking at how to speed up development, because really, in a lot of cases, what makes development faster is having good preparation at the start. You know, you have a good storyboard, you have your instructional design is solid, and you've got the right tool, and you know how you're going to set up things where.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, that's the other thing people will ask me about, accessibility. And, you know, Lectora was the first tool to the table that really dug in deep on accessibility. What you just said is absolutely key to that as well. When you start out, and if your framework is built accessibly and tested, and the other pieces you're bringing in are designed for accessibility and they're tested, then when you get your course built, the thing that you have to worry about and test is the delta between what you started with, the known, and then where you're taking it. So that also creates a lot of speed. We talk about reduce, reuse, repurpose. And once you make that front end investment, style your templates and things the way you need them. If you're Lectora Online, you can even share them right across your organization through your Lectora itself. So otherwise, put them on a SharePoint or some other point and create them. And you get the consistency, and everybody else builds off of that investment that was made on the front end.
That sounds good. Now, you mentioned Lectora 21. That's imminent, correct?
It is. It's in beta right now. And at the time that we're taping this, Lectora 21 is in beta. And we're going to be releasing it in early May.
Oh, great. That's not long. That's not long.
So the target date is May the 4th. So May the 4th be with you. So,
May the 4th be with you. Is that more of that goodness stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I love
we
it.
take that in. That's all part of the magic of Lectora,
Yeah.
right?
That's good. I like that. May the 4th be with you. I should get, okay, here's how you do it. May the 4th be with you. Or get close to the mic. Anyway, well, we are just about out of time, and this is fun. We'd love to have you back on again.
I would love to be back.
And talk more about this and talk more about modular design, because I think that's something a lot of people don't have their heads around. It's not a concept that's all that popular in e-learning or even discussed often, and yet makes so much sense. So that would be something more to delve into a little bit and talk about and just go over. Maybe next time we can show some examples of modular design. We'll spend some more time on it and give people a chance to interact more with you. I don't know. Was anybody in the chat room today by any chance?
Not today.
Not today. You never know. It's a work day. So, but we will also put this up later. And if you folks have any questions for Chris, you can ask them below or send Chris an email. You can contact her, I guess, through LinkedIn or even Lectora directly, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can. Actually, I'm available at eLearning Brothers. You can just contact us. There's a little right when you go on our website. There's a little thing that pops up and it says, "What do you who do you want to talk to? What do you want to talk about?" And you just tell them, "Hey, get that Chris lady for me. Get Lady Lectora. I want to talk to her."
Lady Lectora, I like that. you need an orange cape now. You got to have that orange cape.
Right. Seriously.
I feel badly. I didn't wear my orange shirt. I have an orange shirt. I could have been a pseudo brother.
All right, next time.
I
Now there
totally
will be
forgot that.
So, all right.
But anyway, it's been a pleasure having you on and getting to know you more and much success with Lectora and Lectora 21 and all the continued things. We haven't even talked about Scenario VR. That's another thing that you guys have, which is virtual reality done pretty easily. I know we were one of the beta testers long ago. It's pretty cool. There's some really nice stuff in Scenario VR that you can get into and not a lot of limits to what it can do, meaning it's more than just simple VR. It can go pretty deep. So anyway, that's another topic for the future. And we thank you for coming on, sharing with us. And again, if you have any questions for Chris, there's many ways to contact her, including right from the eLearning Brothers page. So have a good one, Chris. Thanks a lot. And if you're watching the show and have any questions, please feel free to contact Chris or any of us, and we will get back to you. Have a good rest of week, and we will see you next time on eLearnChat. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
And it's a wrap.